as I said, we're going to be talking about a type of content that I believe is the most likely to get shared content. And this is what is inherently baked in to the content itself. I'm not talking about an external strategy, all the different external strategies that are out there as far as how to get your content more viral. I'm talking about how do you make the content the multiplier in the equation? How do you make the content not something that you're doing a bunch of tricks to get people to share, but that actually, as people get exposed to it, they want to share, and then any tricks that you put on it is just going to multiply the effectiveness, but is not reliant on those tricks. And so let me know if that makes sense to you. We're talking about what type of content kind of gets people to want to share. So so that's what we're going to do. And this type of content there's two different types. I have really two favorites. We're going to focus on one today. I'll share the other one as well. But what you'll see is that this type of content, the first type, has been in every single report that I've written. There are reasons for it besides the viral element. It's also actually a type of content that will help build your authority. So from that standpoint, you get that benefit as well. And so for those of you who don't know, the first report that I wrote was the Internet Business Manifesto. It went viral. It launched my company. So we started that when I launched it, and we went from 0 to 7.5 million in the first 12 months. That report had been downloaded about 1 million times in the first 2 years, about 2 million times in the first 5 years, and has been responsible for tens of millions of dollars worth of business for us. And I wrote 6 more reports following that. I wrote, in a span of 18 months, I wrote the missing chapter of the manifesto, the final chapter, the Attention Age Doctrine 1, the Attention Age Doctrine 2, the Maven Matrix Manifesto with Jay Abraham, and then the Uncertainty Syndrome. And each of those reports also set up the sale for a product or program that I was selling. And each of those products and programs did a minimum of $2 million, some doing in excess of $20 million. And that was done with 3 reports and primarily using viral content strategies. And that, in fact, during that time, we didn't spend any money at that time on paid advertising. So this all was fueled through viral growth. So it was pretty impressive. And just through viral growth of PDFs before it was so easy to share stuff like on Facebook and things like that. So that's what we're going to get to. And so let's see. Hello to everyone. And for those of you who have never been here, might as well put this up early. So let's go here. We have a, whoops. We have a free Facebook group. It's called Strategic Profits. We have a lot of very high caliber marketers in there, and we have high engagement. I'd like to invite you to join us there. It's absolutely free. And let's say hello to those who said hello. Hello, Kayvon. Looking forward to talking to you tomorrow. So yeah, let me put this a little bit lower. There we go. Hello, Omar. Hello, Mark. Isabella from Germany. Hello, Isabella. Nice to meet you, and thank you for liking some of my photos on Instagram. Saw that. The color is retro. Yeah, I wonder, that color thing is kind of strange. What is it? Is it, I mean, if I change the temperature, does that change it? No. No. Let me just reset this thing. Well, this is how it, I guess, is. Anyway, all right. So, hey, Milos in. Hey, Milos. Hey, Lonzo from Dallas, Texas. Hey, Billy from Toronto. Wow, cool. Welcome, Billy. Welcome to the live stream. I'm not sure how you found your place here, but your way here, but happy to have you here. We have Abdel Karim from Algeria. So nice to see you, Abdel. We have Pedro Garcia from Mexico. Nice to see you, Pedro. Isabella is quite new. Hey, Hugo from Miami. Nice to see you again, Hugo. And Manny from Chennai. Where's Chennai? I don't know where Chennai is. We have Michael William Roach from the UK, Christchurch in the UK. Very cool. And we have Martin from Hawaii, and we have Gabrielle from Hawaii. Wow. Interesting that they came back to back. We have Andy Baird. Oh my God, I haven't seen you, Andy, in forever. For a short time now in Germany. Been a while since we spent a lot of time together in Delray Beach. That's right, my friend. I'd love to catch up. Can you message me and tell me what you're up to? Oh my God. Andy Beard was a very big guy online when I was a big guy online. I'd be very interested to, haven't spoken to him in over a decade. Isabella, wow. Hello, Nina. Nina was very helpful. She gave me some advice for YouTube. Haven't put it all in place yet, but I plan on doing that, and that was very useful. So thank you for that, Nina. Hey, Scott. Nice to see you in Australia. Very interesting. So many new people here. Very interesting. Hey, John. Good to see you again, as always. And Milos from Serbia. Had a question from the last live stream we left for today. I'll paste it below. I had a relatively good grasp of how to create a good lead magnet. Why do these pictures, I got to figure out what I'm doing wrong with the picture here. Hold on. Why? I know I'm doing something wrong here, guys. Sorry. Bear with me one second, guys. I promise. Am I locking? There we go. Can I make this bigger? All right. Let's see. Can I make this bigger? No, I can't. It has to be like that. All right. I have a relatively good grasp about how to create a good lead magnet that moves towards the sale. Can you tell us more about creating good promotional front-facing content that would drive people from social media, Instagram, YouTube towards the lead magnet? I struggle with doing contextual approach when it comes to promo content because not giving the how, only what seems disingenuous. All right, we'll have to talk about that, Milos. About the actual question because I get the question, but I don't know that I know exactly what you want me to answer. So like, but I think we can get there. See, now this is very small and I don't want this to be so small. How do I make this bigger? There we go. All right. Yeah, awesome boating yeah. So same. I mean, the boat was, being on the yacht was nice. Oh, thank you, Isabella. She likes my reports. Cool, Alonzo. I'm looking forward to it today as well. Hey, Tim, great to see you too. Amazing group. Yeah, very good people in here. It's awesome and valuable. Thank you. Good afternoon. 30 minutes south of Portland, Oregon. Ryan Dwyer. And John, might be too bright background. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you don't have any idea how many lights I have to throw on me to make the background not drown me out completely. I got powerful lights on both sides of me just to get that effect so that I wouldn't be. And what I wanted to do, just so you guys know, is I wanted to be streaming from outside, and but way too bright still outside. But maybe on Thursday I will do it. And actually, I have something coming up on Thursday that I really want to tell you about. Yeah, it's not that the lighting is poor. It's that it is super bright behind me, super bright. Hey Anthony, it's 4 a.m. in Sydney, Australia, and you're always worth getting up for. Wow. Well, I'm honored, Anthony. Thanks. Billy Buttery from the Strategic Profits Group by way of Steal Our Winners. Oh, cool. Very cool. Rod from Charlotte, North Carolina. And Mani is in India. And Martin is in Honolulu, Hawaii. And Billy's excited to be here. Cool. Excited to have you here. Jesse from Newport Beach, a regular. Leon, another regular. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can talk more about that, but thanks, Leon. Yeah, cool, Andy. Definitely looking forward to catching up. Matt here from Charm City. Jesse, catch the replay. Having trouble with your connection. Okay. Catch you later, Lexi. Very cool to see you, Lexi. Lexi is a Agora rock star, and so it's good to see her partaking and in the area of content. Isabella wants your attention, Mr. Matt Risby, and I am good, John Sinclair. Good to see you, and good to see you, Daniel, and good to see you, Manuel. And let's see, Salt Lake, very nice, Daniel. Sinclair 108 subject line book would help that. Would help what? Hope probably not to me. Hello from the Netherlands. We met when you were there years ago. Still great content and insight. Very cool, Edwin. Hi from Toomba in rural Australia. Very cool. God, or disabled people with special needs. I have. Okay. Lighting looks good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. Thanks, Manuel. Eric in El Salvador. Since we're part of a group, why do we have a large call to action to join the group? Why not just leave a link to the group wherever you are posting the replays? Because I also just people come across this video all the time, and it doesn't only go to the group. It's actually also on my landing page, but also I'm posting these to YouTube as well. So that's why. So hopefully that makes some sense to you, Amy. With the trouble getting people to their lead magnets. Okay. Exactly, Lonzo. Okie doke. So we will, let's say, get back into this. So welcome, everyone. And as I said, today we're talking about what strategy I believe is most valuable as it relates to creating content that has viral ness, you could say, built into the content. So this isn't about tricks. This isn't about, oops, I have the door open. This isn't about tricks. This isn't about as much of a marketing bent or angle. What this is about is how do you create content that actually gets people to want to share it? Because then everything that you do above and beyond that to make it viral is going to have that much more of an impact because you're pushing something downhill as opposed to pushing something uphill. And that makes a huge difference, right? So what type of content are we talking about here? What type of content will really get people not only to lean in, right, to, and therefore be more engaged, to want to be set up to want to hear more from you, to want to share it, and see you in a more authoritative and better positioning place. And that strategy is what I like to call counterintuitive content. Now, I call it counterintuitive content, and it's kind of, it's as described, I guess you could say. But a lot of people have a real challenge with what counterintuitive content is, the purpose it serves, and what type of counterintuitive content will have the highest impact on the effectiveness of the content that you have. Okay? So counterintuitive content, right? What do I mean by counterintuitive content? Well, what I mean by counterintuitive content is that it's not intuitive, right? It's counter to what is intuitive. So it is content that is unexpected, right? It is surprising content, but it is surprising and unexpected in a certain type of way. And that way is counter to what you would expect. Now, so that's what counterintuitive content is. Content that whose theme, whose concept, whose thrust is in contradiction with what you could say is common everyday wisdom. So you could say, right, that in a way, counterintuitive content is the opposite of common wisdom. Common wisdom. Why is something counterintuitive, right? Why is counterintuitive content so much more powerful than common wisdom? In fact, it's not only more powerful, but it is the complete opposite of it. Well, okay, so common wisdom is what everybody thinks, what everybody knows, right? It's common wisdom, this or that. It's common wisdom that if you exercise every day and sweat every day and eat less, you will lose weight. Everybody knows that. It's common everyday wisdom, right? But because everybody knows that, it's not interesting. It's not valuable. And it doesn't position you as being interesting, valuable, someone I want to know more from. Because if you're telling me what everybody knows or what everybody should know, what you're telling me is generic information that can be found anywhere and is often found everywhere. So that is what common wisdom is, right? Common wisdom is the prescribed way of doing things that everybody knows. Counterintuitive is the opposite of that, right? It's what sets up a juxtaposition, a conflict, in what you would normally expect. It doesn't make sense on the surface, and therefore requires someone who is interested in that topic to engage with it to satisfy the curiosity that was set up from it. Okay? So when Dr. Atkins first developed, right? Well, he didn't develop it because it actually was developed, I think, in the 1800s. But when they first started promoting Dr. Atkins' diet, like in the 80s or 70s or whenever Agora did the Atkins newsletter, it was, the headline was something along the lines of like, eat fat to lose fat, right? Something that up until that time, it was common everyday wisdom, right? That you reduce your fat to lose fat. And now here's a headline that says, eat fat to lose fat. It's the opposite of what is expected, or eat bacon and eggs and cheese every day for breakfast, right? A huge steak dinner and a, whatever, for lunch and lose all the weight you want. Well, it's so on what people naturally expect. Okay. So the benefit of that is, one, you set up this curiosity gap, right? I'm going to kind of give you some examples so that we can expand the scope of the description right now that you have for it. But understand that when you're presenting someone something that they haven't seen before, right? And now it is counter to what they've heard before. That and it's something that they would not have thought of themselves. That type of content now has a higher value, right? Something I wouldn't have thought of myself, something that is different than what I've been exposed to before, and yet when I fully read it, it makes sense. When you come across something like that, you've come across something valuable, something that you haven't seen before, something that describes something in a way that you had thought of or would not have thought of ever by yourself. That makes that a form of social currency. And before I get into social currency, let's see what some of the let's see what some of the comments are. And I wish I had brought one of the pens that are over there onto over here so that I could actually take some notes so that I make sure I hit all the topics that I want to that I'm bringing up as we're talking. Okay. All right. All right. So Amy Banks, in one of the earlier live streams, some mentioned this is like that. Is it something you can talk more about how you use it yourself? I'm not sure, Amy. I understand what the question is, though. Is this related to what I'm talking about right now, or just something from the past? Um, Thank you for sharing. Serve it to the world, and they will follow. Uh, hey, Therese. Counterintuitive, like the example from the last stream, don't move the free line, create a stronger context. Yeah, I mean, that's not very counterintuitive, but um, but maybe something along the lines of how moving the free line can destroy your business and why pulling it back can make it grow. Or like years ago, why giving your best ideas away for free can grow your business, right? Back then, that was counterintuitive. Are you also saying common sense is not common practice when you talk about counterintuitive content? Not so much. Don't think about it. Yeah, it's definitely the more against the grain, but it's not necessarily whether it's against the grain or not as much as it is something that the person would not have ever thought of themselves, and it is not in accordance with what everybody knows. Right, eat pizza and lose weight. I will go get that pen in a second, Manuel. What can be a good way to counterintuitive hypnosis? Is hypnosis the product? I'm not sure what you're asking me there, uh, Edwin. Would you consider a topic like this counterintuitive? Example, why a good diet like Atkins doesn't work? Um, that's it's not really counterintuitive because I don't think the whole world believes it works. But it has an element of it. I'm going to give you some more examples, so don't worry, guys. Um, hey, Juan from Panama City. Would you say that a good way to think in terms of counterintuitive stuff is to bust an assumption? Yes, I would say that, Juan. Good point. Yeah, certainly you could look at what the common assumptions are in the market and bust any of those, and that would certainly be a powerful display of counterintuitive. Brian, that was great. Can I steal that for my next video? What's that? Counterintuitive content? So long as you give me um, props, why not? Yes, Chris, it is Fisher Island behind me, and I'm here for another week. I'm gonna go head up to Baltimore next Monday. So if you want to get together and you got time this week, I'd love it. I'm on 400 Alton. That's where I'm at. Uh, Amy Russell calls it kind of like a bridge. Yeah, if that's what he's talking about, counterintuitive content, not sure, but that's possible. That's true, Leon. Galileo was locked up for life because of counterintuitive content. Yeah, so how do you actually do less and get more done or make more? How to exercise less and burn more fat? How to work less days and yet double your income? Why shaving the let's see. Um, you can look at what. Well, I'm going to walk you through a process, but yes, or I'm going to try and create one on the fly. Hypnosis is the product. Okay, but what are the problems that you solve, Edwin? You don't really often look as much at the product as you look at the solution as far as what is the problem, right? What is the problem you solve? What is the goal you help people attain? Thank you, Gabriel. So how do you optimize for shareability if you want others to share your counterintuitive content? The reason why I ask is most things that are trending these days are plain crap and junk. Yeah, a lot of those are tricks, right, Amy? And I don't know what those tricks change from moment to moment, but great pieces of content will grow over time. And yeah, certainly. And that's what I'm trying to do here, Manuel. Um, the so it's it's there are other elements of marketing you can do to get your content out there, right? And in fact, they say, like, people who are really the people who spend a lot of their time these days on content marketing, that really where it plays a major factor in their business, people like Neil Patel, for example. um, you know, he is not alone in recommending that uh, if you create content, you got to spend like 90% of your time promoting it, 10% of your time creating it. So however much time you spend on creating it, you got to 10x it for promoting it. And what I'm saying is if you interject in that 1/10 this type of content, and then go ahead and do what marketers and growth hackers suggest you do to promote your content, the likelihood that this will go viral becomes much higher. Um, Counterintuitive is different from controversial, although controversial is another form of content that people definitely share dramatically. Give me a second. I'm going to grab a pen. I will be back in less than 5 seconds. All right. Now will probably take a second to readjust my face. Um, Sorry about that. Okay. So I want you guys to think about um, what I've said in the past, right? Well, let's not go there yet. Let's talk about. So a couple years ago, I'm in uh, I'm in the airport in Seattle. Is it Seattle? Yeah, it's Seattle. Um, and we were flying out, and I was with Kim, and we were in the first class lounge, uh, waiting for our flight back to New York. And the and uh, Kim had gotten up to go to the bathroom, um, and in that time, Bill Gates walked into the first class lounge, and he sat down at a table right, like two tables, three tables down, and this was early in my relationship with Kim. And so when so I went over to Bill Gates's table and told him what a fan I was of his and how much respect I have for him, and you know how much I read just like him, and blah blah blah. And I asked him that if he could do me a favor. I have this new girlfriend, and if he happened to be walking by, if he could stop and say hello. I know that to me, Rich, that she would be blown away. And um, so he said, I'm not going to do that. Probably not going to do that. And I said, okay, well, sorry, but if you change your mind, feel free to do it. And so anyway, I sit back down, and Kim comes back, and we're talking, and uh, Bill Gates walks by, doesn't say hi. He goes into the bar to grab a drink, and now he's coming back. And when he's coming back, I'm talking to Kim, and he stops, and he goes, "Hey, Rich," and I look at him and I go, "Bill, what the fuck? I'm talking to Kim," and he just didn't know what to say. Now that didn't happen at all. It was actually a joke that someone told me about 10 years ago, but I remembered it. And the reason I remembered it is because jokes are a form of social capital. And social capital, meaning that it is a social asset. It is something of worth socially. A joke is social. If you think that, if I told that joke in a funny way, um, and I have told it in a funny way in the past, and you liked it, and then you shared it with other people, I shared something with you that makes you seem more valuable to others, right? Because when you share it, you seem funny. And so therefore it's a form of social capital, right? Something that I share with you that when you share with others makes you more valuable. Okay? So that is social capital. And now anything that makes us more interesting, valuable, attractive, funny, smart in the eyes of others is a form of social capital, right? That we have. So jokes are one way, but now think about a unique and different way of achieving some outcome, right? That is unlikely to be found, unlikely to be thought of, and is in conflict with what most people think right now. That counterintuitive content. Counterintuitive content is highly valuable social currency, especially when you consider the fact of what we've talked about in the past. So now I'll go backwards. And as far as the way I look at any market, which is just a group of people that share a conflict, and a conflict is nothing more than a problem unresolved or a goal unattained. So when I show you a something counterintuitive related to getting either that goal or getting rid of that problem, and it is counterintuitive and it goes against what is the common everyday wisdom, to solving a conflict, which if it worked, I wouldn't have the conflict and would no longer be in the market. Think about that. If the common everyday wisdom worked for me, I would not be in the market anymore. So that means that I need to find something else, something that is not common everyday wisdom, because the common everyday wisdom has not worked for people who are in the market and have been there for any length of time. And so when you come across something that is counterintuitive, that is related to resolving some conflict that you have, and is a conflict that in most birds of a feather flock together. So you generally, a person knows other people with that same conflict. They now have something valuable to share with those people. Let me know if that makes sense. We'll now go back and forth a little bit here. So we've covered so far a couple of things. We've covered what type of content this is. This is counterintuitive. I'm just writing these down now. That's why I wanted to get a pen. We talked about social. It's really social currency. I called it capital. I don't know why. It's really social currency. Sorry. That's what I used to call it in the past, at least, social currency. And we talked about, market conflict, really. Okay. So now let's go back to the back and forth here. Cool. And if you're getting value from this, by all means, please engage, emote, share, do those things, right? Pass the word around. Okay. How to half my work hours and double my revenue. Yes, exactly. Like my very first guarantee for my coaching program. That was it. It is it people think it is a unique solution for a problem when we give a new perspective of the same problem? Well, let's be clear what we're talking about when we say a new perspective. What we're really talking about is a new way of looking at the problem, which then opens up a new way of solving that problem. It's not like just, you have this problem and we're looking at it from this angle versus that angle. It's that the problem is not really this, it is really that. And once you say that, right, once you say the problem is not this, it's that, then how you solve it automatically changes. So I'm not sure, Manny, that I'm sure I'm telling you what is related to what you're saying, but I'm not sure if that is your question exactly. Yeah, controversial definitely doesn't usually have an epiphany at the end. And actually, even counterintuitive doesn't always have an epiphany because you can just state it and then it's not like aha. However, what I would say is that controversial, if it engages the emotions in a, if it's visceral, can stimulate action from a different, stimulates action in a different pathway, right? Charged emotion will get us to act for sure. And controversy tends to focus more on that side of the equation. Hello, Janya. I haven't. Where are you these days? I know Debbie would love to talk to you. Um, Long time. It's been like 2 decades, hasn't it? All right. So, how would counterintuitive content work if folks are really dug in their beliefs and not open to consider alternatives to their past worldviews, especially if it makes them wrong to believe it in the first place? How do you open them up so they listen regardless of their past? Okay, Amy. Are you a big Drew Barrymore fan, Amy? Because it looks like Drew Barrymore, unless that's you. And if it is you, then I guess that's a compliment. You look like Drew Barrymore. Okay, so let's see here. Um, I think, Amy, what you have to recognize, or you at least have to, you should agree with, is that if a market is made up of a group of people that share a conflict, right, and that conflict is either a goal unattained or a problem unresolved, and most people have not just joined the market yesterday, then they are not getting the outcome that they want. And when people are frustrated enough with not getting the outcome that they want, they are open to um, a a reason why, right? That they want to know what they need to do differently in order to get that outcome, and they'd like to know why they have not achieved the success that they are after, or get rid of the problem they're trying to get rid of, or achieve the goal that they've been trying to achieve. And so they are open to it. Now, that doesn't mean that you can just come in and drop some completely different belief. You have to resonate with them first. And so I will not listen to you until you convince me that you understand where I'm coming from. So the number one objection that always has to be overcome, right? That a lot of people don't necessarily really spend enough time considering is the self-esteem sale that that this that this does not apply to me, that my problem is different, I'm worse off, that I've already, I don't have the discipline, I don't believe in myself enough, I have these flaws, I've tried these things and I haven't gotten an outcome, maybe I am hopeless. There needs to be something that lets me, the prospect, know that when you're making any claim and when you're talking about any kind of transformation, that I am part of that group, that you can make that happen for. And that only, well, I wouldn't say that it only happens, but it is much, much, much more likely to happen if you can describe my problems as well as I can, if not better than I can. And since most people don't go around spending lots of time talking about their problems, it's not that hard to actually express it better than them. But that opens up this hope of possibility. Holy crap, this person is talking about me. And that moment of holy crap, this person is talking about me is priceless when it comes to marketing. We're not talking about that specifically here in this live stream. What we're talking about is counterintuitive content. However, like what gets people to listen is letting them know that you're talking to them. And what lets them know that you're talking to them is be able to describe their challenges, their problems, their frustrations, not generically, but in a way that where that gets their head nodding in agreement that that's their experience. I hope that helps, Amy. Yeah, but it's more that it's just my point is that joke was told to me over a decade ago and I still remember it. And the reason I still remember it is because it's a form of social capital. There's a lot of stuff that I was told since that time, that I've completely forgotten. But why do I remember that joke? And it's because, right, it's a form of social capital. I do know that. I do know that, Leon. I heard him say it on the Tonight Show. I think that was on the Tonight Show. Um, your talk reminds me of how many folks talk and shout about personal development and success, and yet are broken, depressed, and miserable. Yet we need to go from talk to actually living there. Of course, right? Um, so here's a. This could be considered counterintuitive, right? Possibly, but that doesn't address like what the question was earlier. I still have to resonate with people to let them know that I'm describing them. But why millionaires take Prozac, right? Um, and then that could lead to a bunch of different things. But just as an interesting, someone I don't know, someone reminded me of that for some reason. It's a book title I always wanted to write. Oh, thanks, Troy. And anyone else, if you feel like sharing in a group, that's cool. If everybody were wisdom worked, I would not be writing this new manifesto. That's true. Why sharing helpful content is not the best content to grow your business. Is this counterintuitive? It is if you're talking to a group of people that think that sharing helpful content would grow their business, right? Then yes, totally. So, what's the best way to create those epiphanies? Be careful here, Juan, when you say epiphanies, because to me, what epiphanies are is a connection in the mind of the prospect where they go, aha, oh, I get it, like bing, 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 and it actually creates a charge of enthusiasm and excitement. That's when I'm talking about an epiphany, that's what I'm talking about. When you're talking about counterintuitive content, which is, a form of content, we'll get to how to create it shortly. Now thinking of how others can use my product in a counterintuitive way. Thanks. There's other ways to kind of get at that, so hold on a second. Uh, yeah, what is most personal is most general, right? That's the easiest way I know to get access to issues where people would say, that describes me. Discover their problems and pain, express their hurt in their own language and feelings. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and just along those lines, like if you've ever had the experience of reading something, reading a book, and feeling like they were just in the book, the problem, the issue, the personality type was describing you. You know what I'm talking about. Hey, Stefan. You stay awesome too. Good to see you, my man. There's a book called If you want to be rich and happy, don't go to school. I think it's a good example of counterintuitive knowledge. Perfect. Yes, exactly. Right. And that gets people to lean in, right? Because like this person has a point of view that is different from mine. It could certainly be amped up more, but it certainly is exactly what we're talking about here. And so we've talked about, so one of the easiest things, or one of the easiest ways to kind of get at this, right, would be to, so let me just, well, okay. One of the easiest ways to get at this is you could think about the area that you operate in and the related topics that it covers, right? So you could say that I talk to business growth and entrepreneurial growth, and then inside of that, there can be quite a bunch of subtopics, right? Everything from entrepreneurship to time management to theory of constraints to marketing to different types of marketing, right, et cetera. So there's all these areas. You take any area and you ask yourself, what are the common held assumptions, the common held beliefs in this area, in this topic, on this subject? That's where you start. and you start to brainstorm that list. And what you're really brainstorming here is the common wisdom of that market, right? By asking, what are all the assumptions related to the outcome that people are pursuing? What are all the assumptions in this area that revolve around this topic? And then from there, right, you look at how could I come up with the opposite? Is there a way to take this and make it its mirror image, its opposite? Is there a way, you play with each one. And then from there, you then figure out which ones you might be able to actually make a case for, and then you pick the one. So I actually wrote a process about this on my blog, but I couldn't find the blog post. I don't think it's active right now, where I walked people through like a 6 or 7 step process on how to create counterintuitive content. But what you need to do first as a starting point is, what is the intuitive content, the common everyday wisdom, the common beliefs, assumptions that the market has? And then from there, how can you turn it in a way that gets people to lean in, but still has an element of truth in it, right? So that is kind of the process there that you can go through in order to start generating ideas for counterintuitive content. So with that said, let's go to the Q&A, and we'll see what you guys, what kind of questions you have. And if you don't, then we might wrap this super early, and it might just be an hour-long live stream, but I'm not sure. Let's take, okay. So, you could, why exercise is making you fat. Or let's say you believe that, let's say that you believe that most people aren't getting enough sleep, and that's one of the reasons why people don't lose weight, which happens to be true, because if you don't get enough sleep, your cortisol goes up, and if your cortisol goes up, it's much more difficult to lose weight. So, okay, so what do people have to do when they sleep? Well, they have to be still, right? And so, like, the idea that, like, why you have to stop moving in order to lose weight, or why most Americans will lose more weight laying down than going for a run, or something like that. Does that make sense, Manny? And, I'm not a copywriter, so I'm a marketer, but hopefully that kind of, you can just see the logic that I just went down there. How about so instead of the non-strategic approach to quicker profits, because a lot of people might think that you get quicker profits by being more tactical, less strategic, but long run, you hurt yourself. So, right? So, how to make more money today as well as in your future by ignoring strategy and, and seizing opportunity, or something like that. But Jason, it's not a bad one necessarily. My pleasure, Ron. I appreciate the positive feedback. Ecamm Live, Martin. All right, so tell me what you guys' thoughts are, if we should call it. Hopefully my examples there were good. I wish I could give you a bunch more, and I know I came up with a bunch when I did this blog post. The idea is that, you're giving information or content to someone that is not like everyone else's. Remember, better to be different than just better. So it's different, first and foremost, so you're already standing out. You're also introducing something that can provide new hope to get an outcome, because it's counterintuitive, right, about the outcome. So you've provided new hope. Now, you've also provided what we talked about before, social currency. The likelihood that they will share it with other people goes up because it is something that they know other people would not have come across, right? So they're more likely to share it. They're more likely to want to hear more from you because you're providing them information that they haven't come across before. So with all of those elements, you then have uh, you then have the essential piece of what turns content viral. What turns content viral is when I read something, not a trick, although that can help, but when I read something or watch something or listen to something, I say to myself, so and so has to hear this, or this would be amazing to share with blank, or I know so and so would really appreciate if I shared that with this person. Um, and so that is, let's see, someone said Lexi might have found it. Um, so if she did, I appreciate that. Lexi, business is not common sense. No, that's not the one, Lexi. I saw that one. I think, let's see. Let's, let's see. Trying to open that now. Why is that not? There we go. Yeah, see, this is not. Yeah, that's not the one, Lexi. Because in that one, in the one that I'm thinking of, I actually walk people through like how to create counterintuitive content. The oh, that might be it. That sounds more like it. If I can. Okay, so why common knowledge kills business success? Why common knowledge? Oh, that's an early to rise. Yeah, so there's something similar to that that just went into. So yeah, so that one. Sorry guys, if you let me see if I can put this on the screen. I should. Yeah, so one just posted this early to rise. Why common knowledge kills success. I wrote this, and then on my blog, I then went deep into why how to do counterintuitive, I think. But I do put some of the information here. So that's actually great. Yeah. So here it is. I'll actually share the screen real quick. Can I? Let's see. Yeah. So here it is. Let me get rid of Juan here. Sorry, Juan. Going to say goodbye to you for a second. And I'll say goodbye to join our Facebook group. Okay, make a list of the common problems and goals of your prospects. List as many conventional common wisdom. So this is a little bit different, but same gist, right? Same approach, more or less. List as many conventional common wisdom solutions as you can next to each of those problems and goals, right? Step 3, brainstorm ideas that contradict those solutions you came up with in step 2. Step 4, highlight the ideas from step 3 that you believe are true or could be true. Step 5, circle the ideas that you can back up with your own experience, right? And there you go. So that's the process, and as I said, I can, or as Juan said, that is the link to the steps that I wrote, at least on that blog post, on how to create counterintuitive content. Let's see. Amy. Tim Ferriss had the 4-hour work week, which was counterintuitive content, but he had a lot of folks who also hate him for it. How do you advise folks to choose personal versus generic brand for their ideas? Yeah, well, look, anyone that wants to be as successful as Tim Ferriss has to be willing to also be criticized as much as Tim Ferriss. And, you know, I've worked with pretty much every single top guru in the online marketing space, as well as many other spaces online. And one of the things that I make sure to discuss with every client that I take on that I'm going to help, like, you know, become a guru, etc., is I take them actually, I used to at least, take them to Amazon for the 4-hour work week, and I pull up, you know, a page with all the 5-star comments, and I look at that with them, and I'm like, isn't this nice? Now let's look at the other half, which are all zeros, and let's, like, are you going to be okay with reading this about yourself? Because, right, it's better to be loved and hated than tolerated. And if you're not polarizing, then odds are you're also not resonating. Because, once again, middle of the road, common everyday wisdom, safe in the crowd is not a way to stand out. It's a way to get lost. And you need to stand out. in your business. There are too many options out there. There are too many entrepreneurs out there. There are too many ads out there. There are too many solutions to the same problems. And so you have to stand out. And the only way you stand out is doing something different than what everyone else is doing. So if everyone else is doing the safe, the vanilla, the non-polarizing, right, content, then you got to go there. I hope that helps, Amy. We are creating counterintuitive training content for realtors with aha moments for them. And interesting that many do not want to share it because they don't want their competitors to know about the strategic advantage they're getting through us. Yeah, that happens. That happens, Ron, for sure. Written sales letters are now actually outperforming video sales letters, e.g., easier for mobile users to scan. That might be true too, Leon. I know for certain one of the tests that we've done, it certainly is true. So, okay, so let's do a quick recap. I guess we will call it. It's a shorter video today, but by all means, we will. Oh, let me tell you about what I'm really excited about for Thursday, and we'll send out a notice about this. So I want to bring on a friend of mine, someone who I go to for advice. I also thought I would share some of the things I do. Some of them might be criticized by this gentleman, but I want to bring Ryan Bello on. He's got Cortex Labs. He's the guy that I go to for nootropic advice. Those are different types of supplements and ways of boosting your performance mentally. And he's got a great channel on YouTube. That's where I first found him. I read a lot of his books and reports and watched a lot of his videos, and we've become friends. And I thought it'd be really cool to have him come on, answer questions, and we can kind of discuss nootropics. And I really hope that all you guys show up and have some good questions. If you've ever had any about nootropics, or just be curious, because there's definitely, I get a huge boost in my performance based on everything I know about supplements and how they impact the body and certain neurotransmitters and the like. And I certainly would be in a much worse place if I didn't know these things. And so I'd love to pass along these things to you. I've got no stake in the game. I'm not, other than wanting you to be in the hands of someone who's get advice from someone who I get advice from and that I've kind of tracked down and believe in. And so his name is Ryan, and he'll be with us on Thursday from 6 to 8. And so with that said, let's go to the recap, and then we will say goodbye for today. So let's see here. So to quickly recap, we were talking about today is what I believe is the single most powerful type of content as it relates to getting virality into your content. Now, just like, I see a lot of marketers out there who come up with a crappy offer. And then because that offer is crappy, they have to write copy that is that much more powerful. They have to write ads that are that much more difficult to write. Everything is more difficult because ultimately their offer isn't that great. Whereas if they had their offer better, then writing the copy would be easier. Doing the marketing would be easier. Getting affiliates to mail everything else would be easier. So it's like the one thing, right, that you want to make as good as possible because it makes everything else easier to do, right? So when it comes to virality, creating content that is counterintuitive, that provides the person, the prospect that comes in contact with that content is to make counterintuitive content that translates into social currency. So counterintuitive content is content that is against the common everyday wisdom of that marketplace as it relates to getting rid of the problem or solving that goal or getting that goal or what have you, right? That is not what the common everyday advice and common everyday assumptions is. It's the opposite of that, hence counter that, right? And social currency is when you're exposed to it, when you share it with others, it makes you seem more interesting, more knowledgeable, more knowing of secrets, more knowing of something. And so when you combine those two, social currency, right, and creating social currency by creating counterintuitive content, what you're doing is you're building into your content that which makes anything else you're doing as far as promoting that content to get better results, because as people are exposed to it, they will be more moved by it, they will share it more, they will react to it more, and because of that, you will gain more virality with what it is that you do. Remember that it's much easier to get someone to share something great than it is to get someone to share something they think is shit. And what gets people to think something is great is something that is counterintuitive, that provides them with social currency. So I will see everyone on Thursday. This wraps the Tuesday live stream. If you're watching this on YouTube, please give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on Facebook, then join our group or go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel there. Till Thursday, to Higher Profits Beyond, this is Rich Sheffrin, over and out.